It's time for Ladies Can We Talk on 660 AM The Answer. Common sense talk with women and men about politics and standing up for America. With your host, nationally acclaimed speaker and author, Debbie Georgatos. Ladies Can We Talk starts now.
Well, hello there. Welcome back to the second hour of Ladies Can We Talk. On our second hour roundtable, I have my two leading ladies here today, Jenny McGarry, Carrie Kellerman. Hi, girls.
Hey.
Okay, and I believe we have on the phone, and I'm just checking right now. Hello, I hope I'm speaking with Enid Reyes.
Yes, hello. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
I am doing great. An honor to be with you guys.
We're happy to have you on. We try in this second hour roundtable not to talk over each other, but we get going sometimes. But I told them I told them what we were going to be talking about tonight, but you're the president of the Rockwall County Hispanic Republican Club. And I was just going to start by saying, I think there are a lot of people who would hear that and say, "Oh, you probably read the name wrong. It must be the Democrat club." It couldn't. So, I'm happy to hear there is a club, a Hispanic Republican club. But I guess we would start with just having, if you would tell us, because the left assumes mostly that they are going to win the women's vote and the Hispanic vote and the black vote. What about the Republican Party appeals to you? Why are you a Republican?
Well, many things. You know, we are, I think being a Hispanic Latino from Puerto Rico, you tend to say Latino. In other countries, Hispanics, but it doesn't matter. We're very morally conservative. We, we believe in pro-life, the traditional marriage, I have a business background, so I believe in fiscal responsibility. And one of the interesting things with the research, and I worked with a Hispanic, and I've shared with you a little bit my background. What is interesting about the Hispanic Latino community, they are about individual responsibility. So that's part of our culture already. So, those are the things that we're very conservative, and we want to keep a conservative nation.
I love that. And actually, I've heard this many times. People say that a lot of, I want to use terminology, whatever is the most comfortable and appropriate. So I can say, is Latino, is that the word you'd like to have?
It's fine with that. When I've written papers, so I just put Latino/Hispanic, so it doesn't matter what you use. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I represent both.
All right, then. Well, so your club, your Rockwall County Hispanic Republican Club, what kind of issues do you think that your members, like you must have speakers who come, so what do they want to hear speakers talk about? What are they interested in hearing about?
Well, I think to start with, when they asked me to take the leadership, one of my strengths is building things, leadership, and they asked me if I could give leadership to the Hispanic Club. But one of the things that with my work in the community, I've worked for 7 years in community development, especially in the Hispanic community, but there's so much confusion about what a Republican believes versus what a Democrat believes. And really, in my research and surveying people, it really boiled down to a couple of things. A lot of Hispanic believe that Democrats are for the poor, and the Republicans are for the rich. So there is some false beliefs that are out there, and I'm very strong in education. So one of the goals that I talked about in Rockwall was we need to start educating people. What do really Republicans stand for? What are our core beliefs, our values? Because they are so much like, in Hispanic culture, our values are so much like Republican. So we start, sometimes these are things that they hear, but when you start learning from yourself and hearing speakers explain it to you, that helps you start changing, okay, so that's not truth. Fear is a big wall that we have to tear down, and we know knowledge is powerful, and it tears down fear. So that's why I'm very much about education and bringing different people in to bring different, aspects, whether they're Anglos or Hispanics or African American, just bring different perspectives so they can reach different segments of the community.
When you were talking, I was thinking back. We've spoken a couple times on the phone before this interview, and I think it was speaking with you. If it wasn't, I'm sorry, but was about the idea that, that Republicans are more about, to use a very common expression, teach a man to fish, and Democrats are about give a man to fish. But I also think that's a great way to respond to, who's for the poor. It's not for the poor versus the rich. It is for inviting people to be part of the economy by the teach a man to fish, which is more how I see Republicans.
Yes. And, that has been my work, and this is my driving force of everything that I've ever done, is help people become self-sustained, helping become developed. And I work with communities. Okay, how do we take these people from where they're at to college? And I share with you, I started a program with volunteers, help 50 kids go to college that they would have never, ever thought of going to college. And those kids are going to be productive citizens of society. They're going to give back. But I think in my work with the community, in the Hispanic, one of our big cultural traits is individual responsibility. They want to work. They want to be responsible. But sometimes it's helping them find ways or give them skills or avenues where they can start engaging in work and becoming, engaged in employment and paying taxes, which a lot of Hispanics, and you and I talked about this, the IRS gives out EIN numbers, temporary ID numbers. So I know many Hispanics that have been here in this country for 20 years, 10 or more, and they go to the HR block and they pay taxes. So to me, it's about speaking a message that resonates with the Hispanic community, because we already have it in us. We want individual responsibilities. We don't want people to maintain us, but I think it's like, the message, the Republican message, this is what we want to do and provide ways for them to be engaged.
I have a question for you, Enid. Yeah. My name is Carrie. I was wondering, you said that the Democrats tend to have the image of being for the poor while the GOP is for the rich, and that we need to get the message out. I'd like to ask you two parts. First, where do you think the Hispanic community is getting that message that you say is wrong about the GOP? Where are they getting that message from? And then if we're to get a message back out to them that, hey, we're not that way and this is what we are for and blah, blah, blah. How do you think is what's the best way to do that?
Well, good question. To me, the message that the Democrats are for the poor is coming from the Democrats. I actually went to, also going a little bit back, we Republicans, we have to do a better job reaching and engaging with the Hispanics. Sometimes in my work, I've done a lot of forums, and that's going to be your second answer. But sometimes that fear factor, if I don't understand you and I don't understand your cultural background, I fear it and therefore I ignore it. But we have to be engaged. We have to be educated. How do I engage with Hispanic communities on the different, and there's 5 segments that I can mention later. So I went to 2 events several years ago, maybe 2 years ago. One was done by the Republican Hispanic Club when they started, maybe 3 years. And it was done in a high-end restaurant. And, the Hispanic Latino in Rockwell at that point, they were not going to go there. They were intimidated. And so then I went to the Democrat. They did a Hispanic outreach, and what did they do? They did it at a park, and they had a picnic and free food, and, they had music, and it was more appealing because it was less threatening. And that's where, the message when they were talking to them, that's the message that I hear from the Democrats. So I think one of my goals, helping especially in Rockwell County, we're predominant in a wide, high, wealthy county, city. So it's like, let's start getting in the community, meeting people where they're at, having events that are in the community, plus also have forums about, come here, what Republicans believe, what are their values, and then let them start really self-discovering that their own values match the Republican values. And, we're not going to convert everybody, but at least we give that information out there. We have to do, and that's why they asked me to take the leadership, because I've worked in the Hispanic community in Rockwell. We have to do, as Republicans, a better job of connecting with them. And I know the biggest, elephant in the room is immigration. So we have to start talking about these things.
This is Debbie Georgatos. I'm going to jump in and say we are speaking right now with Enid Reyes, and she is the president of the Rockwell County Hispanic Republican Club. We have time for one more question before we got to go to our break. I think Jenny had something, right?
I know that a lot of times, traditionally, especially female voters, tend to be moms, ones that are concerned about the safety and concerned about their children and how they're being raised. How does this play out in the Hispanic community or the Latina community that you've seen as far as trying to reach them where they're at?
Well, I think, education is a big issue for them. We were doing some surveys in this community, small community in Rockwell. It's actually like 2,500 population, but it's 99% Hispanic. So we were kind of surveying them about, what are the important issues for you? And one was education was the number one. Health was number two. So, I think that if we reach the moms carry a lot of weight in the home. And one more important thing, Hispanics, we're about trust. And we're about word of mouth. It's almost, there's a program in the American Heart Association they call promotoras, because they train them on health issues, and then they train the community leaders in health issues, and they're the ones that go around and talk to people. So I think there has to be a model kind of like that, where we find those strong moms, those strong women, and just educate them, and then they can be our spokespeople in those communities. And because I was talking to somebody about this, and tell me when we're time to cut for the break. But we're about, okay, my mom used Palmolive all her life. So we're like, oh, we need to buy Palmolive because we don't think about it's the best brand. We think, no, this is how we always done it. My
tradition, loyalty. Yeah.
Yes. So there's a lot of brand loyalty, but that can work both ways. You heard a Hispanic, and then a lot of people know about it.
Yeah.
Wow. Good warning.
Yes.
We are actually up against our break, but I want to thank you so much. We're speaking with Enid Reyes, who is the president of the Rockwell County Hispanic Republican Club, and we need to zip off to our break. But I can tell we're going to want to have you on again sometime, and I hope we can do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you for calling in. And this is Debbie Georgatos, Carrie Kellman, Jenny McGarry, and Ladies Can We Talk on 660 AM The Answer. Come on back after our break.